And then I will share my screen. But first, for all you Clue fans who may be wondering who your MC is today, I'll give you a hint. Mr. Peacock in the library with the microphone. And I'm joined here for lunch by my accomplice, Colonel Mustard. And then no Internet Archive meeting would be complete with my other lunch colleague, Mr. Kale.
That sounds good.
If I can get at least one smile today, then I'll feel like I accomplished my job here. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. Then my last question is the screen included at all by the panel of faces on the right here, or do you not see that?
Nope, we see it as you intend.
Great, fantastic. All right, so the beginning is going to be kind of boring because a lot of you know already what the Internet Archive is and what Open Library is, but hopefully we'll be able to do a spin on this that does help folks who might be newer to the org, and also is fun for people who have been around the block. So again, this is something we do once a year in order to celebrate the community. And I'd like to start, and of course, welcome to the Internet Archive. I want to start with a small piece of trivia, and feel free to unmute if anyone knows the answer to this. Does anyone know what this movie might be, this spooky film, and why it may be special?
It's Night of the Living Dead.
That's right, yes. Any idea of why it's special?
I don't know, it's Halloween.
Halloween, absolutely. So this is exactly the Night of the Living Dead. It used to be called something like Night of Flesh-Eating Monsters or something like that. Someone can correct me. But one thing that's really unique about this movie is 7 years after it was produced, they applied for a name change and they never renewed copyright. So this is one of the exciting films that has tons of remixes and songs and a plethora of different multimedia that has been created from it, a real culture, because it entered in the public domain so early. And these are the types of things that we love to celebrate. Well, we don't have time to watch it right now. But these are the types of things that we love to celebrate at the Internet Archive. And we are an archive. We do tons of different things. We have books. We have millions of hours of television news. We have the Wayback Machine to go back in time with websites. We have an internet arcade and more. Anything that you would find in the internet's thrift store of goodies and culture, you might expect to find in the depths of the archive. Here's an example of one of the things that the Wayback Machine can do for us, which is bring us back to the year 1998 when Google was first launching. And here you can see Google in all of its glory with its beta tag and information about Linux and Stanford. But we also help the web stay alive. So over time, links rot, and Wikipedia is a good example of where we have replaced and restored about 20 million links, thanks to the Wayback Machine, taking resources that would have otherwise been unavailable and bringing them back to light. The Internet Archive is also a library. So we have, or at least the last time I checked, I could be a little dated here, we were doing around 50,000 books a month, which was a procurement and then digitization, and then making them available through controlled digital lending or other processes as well. And typically when you are borrowing a book from the library on your screen, you're borrowing one of the books that is in our physical archive. Okay, and the way that it works is each year we import millions of catalog records from all sorts of different institutions around the globe. We acquire and digitize works that we deem based on community interest and also based on other libraries' holdings, works that are significant. We lend them out using a framework called controlled digital lending. We occasionally partner with other libraries across the globe to help make their materials more accessible. And then we finally showcase these materials on openlibrary.org. And Open Library is a service run by the Internet Archive, which attempts to be the internet's library catalog. There are around 30 to 40 million card catalog entries. About 5 million of these are linked up to books that you could read or borrow directly from your home conveniently. It's completely free and open source, and it's wiki editable. So one of the reasons why the project is so special is a lot of the folks on this call have gone in with their own typing librarian powers to edit records and make sure that information becomes even more accurate over time. So a little bit of history. I've been around the Open Library project since around 2014 or 2015, but I joined as staff in 2016. The first 2 years were a little bit lonely, intensive care. We were just making sure that the website was up and running, that we had everything wired up correctly, and that it didn't fall over when we had holiday traffic. The next big step in 2018 was rebooting the open source community. We then did some experiments with democratizing the library's holdings and inviting other people to participate in book sponsorship. We really leaned into adoption and discovery to make the service as well known as possible to the people who rely on us. We spent a year focusing on the catalog aspects of the website, making sure that the data was as complete as possible and useful to people using the website. And then once we had the catalog in place, because good data is required for a good experience, we then leaned into the experience in 2022. And then something kind of magical happened. The magical thing is that we hit feature parity with a lot of other services out there, like other friends like Goodreads and Overdrive. They provide their own experiences, even New York Public Library. And a lot of the core features that these websites or services had, we've been able to develop as well. And we reached a fork in the road where we started having to ask a question. What is different about the Internet Archive? What is different about Open Library? And if we try to play to the strengths of another organization, then we might miss the opportunity to highlight what makes us special. Maybe the fact that we have old books that are only available on Open Library and can't be found on a service like Overdrive is a huge advantage to the people who rely on our service. So this year we conducted a lot of research to understand what learners, what educators, what readers prefer and what they need, so that this upcoming year will be in a perfect situation to deliver on that promise. And again, sometimes it's about finding all of the nuggets that make us unique. And so we broke this into 4 categories. Core vitals, which is keeping the website going, making sure things are as fast as possible given limited resources, building tools and support for librarians and editors, designing new features, and then also doing design research, all of which we'll hear about later in this presentation. And this year was yet another blockbuster in terms of the community developing really amazing things. We had a redesign of the idea of our subject pages. Now any librarian can go in and supercharge the experience of any subject page. We had improvements to our librarian merge queue. Book series are on their way. You can sort any search results by book popularity and see, for instance, something I'm excited to hopefully will get showcased today is sorting Open Library results by books that are most wanted, but that the Internet Archive doesn't have. That's a query that helps us not only discover opportunities to acquire new materials, but it also helps patrons tell us what works are meaningful to them. And a whole lot more will be showcased today. So I'll let the speakers do that themselves. And then just a few board highlights, since not everyone gets to join our board meeting at the end of the year. Typically, we welcome about 1 million patrons to the service each year. This year, we welcomed just over 2 million so far. We've powered about 4.5 million loans. This is just from Open Library, not from the whole Internet Archive ecosystem. 3 million patrons have now logged more than 7 books. And something that Ono and Lisa and others will talk about later, we have submitted and merged 92,000 requests for author and book merges. And then our mobile app has now been downloaded 50,000 times. And this has all been accomplished by a thriving community of 2,500 people who answered surveys, 1,000 people plus that are now in our Slack, 5 active fellows for this year, 22 active developers across 4 programmers: design, communications, librarianship, and engineering. So I want to stop right there and just give a round of applause and a thank you to all the members of the community who helped us achieve these victories. And here's a snapshot of some of the folks who have helped from I think there are 19 countries represented within the folks that have been contributing this year. And these are just the folks who are comfortable having their photos included in the showcase, but there are many more. And without further ado, I think I actually have to reshare and do so in a way that is going to share audio. So let me do that really quickly. Sorry about that. Share sound, and let's see if this works. Okay. No.
Okay, hi everyone. For
Is that coming across? All right, thanks
those of
all.
you who may not have met me, my name is Scott Hewitt, and I'm a huge young adult horror enthusiast. I've been a part of Open Library for about a year now. I joined when I was creating a website for books in the style of a Netflix streaming service. It's my belief we need to make reading as accessible and engaging for children as much as it is browsing Netflix or Disney Plus. And what you're seeing here is the website that I started building. It would be a platform where people could read books embedded from Open Library, but the issue we ran into, however, was the embed code would only allow a preview of the book, and there wasn't a way for people to log in due to privacy concerns. So I'm still working on the website, but while I'm working on this, I've actually started going through all of the young adult horror books on Open Library and kind of collating them, cleaning them up and building out the collections. Now there's thousands and thousands of these books. What I've been doing is creating Python scripts that will help me organize these and automate the whole process of building lists and collections. So I've created Python scripts that, as you'll see here, will build a spreadsheet that details the young adult horror books and series. Then with another script, I'll search Open Library and match the ISBNs, coloring the rows with if the book is available, preview only, or if there's a profile but there's no edition, or if it just doesn't exist on Open Library at all. This script also returns all of the information I need in order to add these books to a list, like the work ID. Then another script will separate the books into series, and I can then use these worksheets and another script to create the lists, and will also return the list information that I then use in the collection, and it also builds the URL that I need to actually make the collection. With the help of Meg, Drini, Lisa, Trevor, and David Scottson, we're implementing collections to be displayed in a grid view, somewhat simulating a streaming service, and that's using this API here that you'll see on the screen. So the grid view is now available site-wide in lists and all the way through to search results. You can toggle back and forth depending on your own preferences. So I've dropped about 50 collections all ready to go for Halloween. If anybody would like more information on how I've been making these scripts to automate lists and building collections, please reach out to me. Right now they're just kind of personal Python scripts that I use, but if there's enough interest, I would be more than happy to actually get it to something that everybody would be able to use. So thanks for your time and have a great Halloween, everyone.
All right. So thank you, Scott. The reason that we got a recording from Scott, he's currently in Australia. The time zone made it so that he was unable to attend today's call. But it's just absolutely remarkable what a volunteer who is joining us one day a week for 45 minutes can achieve with building collections and using Python. Next,
Okay, hi everyone. For those of you
let's see if I can go to the next slide. Perfect. Next, Anusha's going to tell us a bit about the work she's been doing.
Thank you so much, Meg. Hello, everyone. My name is Anuja Mirwade. I am originally from India, Mumbai, but right now I am in the United States. I'm pursuing a master's degree in data science from Indiana University, Bloomington. And as you can see, these are some of my hobbies. I love cooking, reading, and that's why I'm at OL and watching anime. And huge shout outs to Meg, Scott Barnes, and Samuel Grunenbaum, and because they have helped me largely in working on the project and the issue that I'll be presenting right now. So yeah. So but before we go there, I would first like to share how I found OL, how I found Open Library, and what drew me to that. So Open Library, I just finished my summer internship as a software engineer at a company in Detroit, Michigan, and my interest grew in software development, although I have background in data. So I decided to contribute to open source projects. And when I was looking for such repositories, I came across a place where I landed over to Open Libraries repository. And what drew me to Open Library is that ever since high school, I have used Internet Archive for downloading books, movies, softwares, etc. But I never knew that Open Library was a part of it. And since I had this personal connection, I I was drawn more towards it, and I decided to go ahead and contribute to this project. So as compared to how I found that, like talking about how I found time, since I'm a college student. College students don't really have work-life balance, to be honest. But whenever I didn't have lectures or during weekends, I used to find some time to contribute. And coming to the support that I have received from the community is absolutely amazing. Because the community is overall very approachable and welcoming. I didn't have any much background in software development, but they helped me with all the small concepts, making me understand what it is and why is something the way it is and why is it done that way. So that cleared a lot of doubts, and hence I would like to give a shout out to Meg, Scott, and Sam. So yeah, going forward to what I actually worked on. So I worked on the loan history page. So the problem was, as of now, how the setting is that when you go to your My Books section and click on the loan history page, a loan history button to see how many books have you ever loaned, it takes you to your archive.org account, which can be seen on the left side. So this is where all the books that I have ever loaned, it is actually on the archive.org account. So you're getting redirected to a different website. So what we worked on is letting the user, not preventing this redirect, and letting the user stay on Open Library itself. So right now, when you click on the loan history button, you'll stay on the Open Library web page itself. It's the same data. It's just that you will be staying on the same website, which prevents you the hassle of toggling here and there between the two websites. And yeah, I think I can quickly show a demo of how exactly you can navigate. Yeah, thanks. So I'll quickly share my screen. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Looks good.
Okay. So as of now, the code is deployed in the testing environment. And so this is the main, like the first page where you land when you log in to Open Library. So when you go to My Books and you click here for loan history, you'll stay on Open Library itself. And all the books that I have ever loaned, checked out, everything will be over here. And we have limited on one page, you will see up to 25 books. And if there are more, you can move to the next one. So as of now, I have only these many books checked out. So this is how the user experience is. And the rest is just how it would actually look like. If you click on the book itself, it will take you to the book. So yeah, this is the page that we've created. Yeah, can you reshare your screen? Yeah. So moving ahead, there are still some challenges, and there are a lot of opportunities for new contributors who would want to contribute to this task. So we need help in some places. One is where we want to fix the ordering and missing books. Sometimes the books, because the books are still in Internet Archive, the API that we have built sometimes does not capture all the books from Internet Archive because of mismatch between Internet Archive and Open Library. So we need to fix that mismatching and add proper pagination, because now I just showed a couple of pages, but what if a patron has a lot of books and there are more than 50, 60 pages, 100 pages? So the pagination should work and should not break. So that is something important. And one very important feature is the ability for a user to search for a particular book through the title or the author name in a loan history of say 200, 300 books. So that is, these are some of the things that we need help with. And how to get started would be, you can fill up the volunteer form. I did the same. You go over here and you can fill up the volunteer form. For this particular task, you can read through the PR 8375 to get the context and information on how to get started. And definitely you can reach out to me or Scott for any details that you would like on Slack. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anuja.
Thank you.
I also really appreciate that folks have not only put time into their projects, but also have given really clear, actionable ways of how other people in the community can join us and help out. So thank you for doing that. Sam, are you ready to go next?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Samuel. I have been contributing to Open Library for a little bit over a year now, since 2022. I joined when I was still teaching high school, and I still work in education. So I use Open Library and the Internet Archive in general a lot in my education work. I'm a computer science teacher primarily, so I have a lot of interest in open source projects and contributing on the back end as well. Although in my work with Open Library, I've been doing a lot of focus on design, which is also a passion of mine. I'll talk today about the main design project that we've been working on, that I've contributed to in the past year, which has been published and live on the website for a few months now. So some of you may have already seen it. But I'll still go through it. So this has been optimizing the mobile My Books experience. So the problem that was identified is that the old navigation on mobile for My Books, which is the landing page for a user's account where all of the books and reading logs and lists are stored, which Anuja just showed us in the demo. The old version, which you can see above the before label, had this kind of weird navigation at the top that was scrollable, but you could only see a small kind of window of the menu, and it was not really obvious. There were no clear signifiers that this was a scrollable section, or that that was navigation that you should be using to access your books, which is really what the My Books page is for. So the goal here was to optimize this experience so that a user's books would be front and center, because when you go to My Books, you're expecting to see your books. So what we did is basically turn this navigation into the actual interface for the My Books page, where we have a few different headers for all of the different subsections of My Books, which includes a user's loans, their different reading logs, which are the currently reading, want to read, and already read reading logs, where users can organize books. And then we also have view all lists. That's just going to take you to the user created lists. And then down at the bottom, we have the user's stats, which is kind of a miscellaneous section for information about the account, including reading stats, notes and reviews that the user has written, and now loan history, which is now lives on the page. which now lives on Open Library. Used to be a page on Internet Archive. Anuja did an awesome job incorporating that into the actual Open Library website. So that, I think, is a major improvement to the overall My Books experience. So that's under my stats. And then part of this redesign also, yeah, you can go to the next slide, Mac. Thank you. Yeah, part of the redesign of the My Books experience was also redesigning the individual sub pages of My Books. So that includes specific reading logs. Here we can see the want to read page. In the past, these pages would have had that strange window of scrollable navigation at the top, but we kind of reduced that layer of navigation down to a dropper, which you can see there on the right. That's what it looks like open. So we added this breadcrumb button component that includes all of the other reading logs, as well as some key other sub pages of the My Books world. And that includes all the reading logs, the users' lists, as well as their loans, notes, reviews, and the imports and exports page for that user's account. So now when you go to your My Books page on mobile, you can see all your books. You can actually see a preview of specific books that if you click on one of those covers there, it'll bring you to the page for that actual book. And if you go to a page for your reading log or your lists or your notes, reviews, imports, and exports, you'll have a much more kind of convenient navigation for mobile, a little bit more accessible, a little bit easier to read, and just less of that kind of confusing scrolling behavior using that selector component. I don't have a slide, unfortunately, for people to contribute to this particular issue. I don't think there are any current issues up on the GitHub that are ready to be contributed to for this project. However, I think there is more work to be done on this page, specifically in terms of previewing lists, and always interested in additional design feedback. The nice thing about design is that you're never really done. You can always continue iterating and learning more. I have learned a lot from this community. I want to shout out to Anuja as well, and also Mech for supporting me on this. Also, Drini and Abby provided a lot of valuable insight on the design process. So I want to shout them out too. And I hope I'm not forgetting to shout anyone out who also worked on this, but really I'll shout out the whole design group for Open Library was instrumental in creating this. And if you're interested in contributing to design, we can always iterate and improve. And I think there's more work that can be done on this page, as well as many other pages that are also being revamped. So yeah, I think that pretty much brings me to the end of going through the mobile My Books optimization experience. Oh, and I also want to shout out to Dana, who also was a huge help in this and kind of architected the desktop experience, which we also redesigned. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, and also to Dana, who was the other half of the desktop mobile pair. I'm so happy with how that turned out. Next, I'm going to present on behalf of Catherine, who I don't know is on the call right now. If you are, feel free to jump in and you can present on this. Otherwise, last year we were able to fund an Internet Archive Summer of Code contributor to help us redesign our primary books page to the website so that it worked well in mobile. And we have the designs, but having the designs is much different from implementing it in production. And Catherine, who worked with Jim Champ, did just an incredible job of taking scores of these opportunities to take the old page where you could barely even see a primary action above the fold and turn it into something that is very modern, and it makes it easy to share. It has navigation on the top so that you can easily, it has a sticky navigation so that as you click, it'll jump down the page. just a huge set of improvements, and I'm really grateful to Catherine, who put a lot of time and energy and did a fantastic job helping us do something really fundamental, which was taking perhaps the most important page on Open Library and making it work better on mobile. So thank you, Catherine, very, very much. I also want to present some work by Sivan and Ria, who are students from New York University. Joanna, one of the professors at NYU, does a class each year where students are able to participate in open source projects and as a part of their curriculum. And so this year, last year, we had, I think, 6 different people from NYU who, either 3 or 6. I know we had 2 universities that worked with us that worked on Open Library as a part of their NYU project. And this year, Sivan and Ria worked on this feature called Safe for Work, which is an opt-in screen where anyone who signs up for an Open Library account can toggle whether they would like to enable a safe mode on the website. And once you enable the safe mode, any book that has a subject of content warning covers, for instance, will then appear as blurred. And so this gives librarians a way to toggle the content moderations on book covers, and also gives individuals the ability to opt in or opt out. And if you would like to enable this setting, this is live on production. You can go to the hamburger menu and then to settings, and then manage privacy and content moderation settings, and then enable safe mode. And then if you do a search such as subject key content warning star, then you should see all of those book covers are blurred. So great work to Sivan and Ria. It was really a joy working with them this year, and always a pleasure to work with Joanna from NYU. All right, I'm going to see if I might be able to increase the volume. Let me do a check here just to see.
Hi everyone, I hope we are having an amazing Halloween.
Is that volume soft or is it good enough?
That's good.
Okay.
I'm Jaden.
So some context here is Jaden was our Google Summer of Code contributor for this year. He worked with us for a little over 3 months and worked on something really exciting. So I'll let him take it away. And he would love to have performed for us in person, but he is in Singapore and in the middle of college classes. So here we have him speaking over video.
And today I'll be sharing about my contributions to Open Library this year. So a little bit about me is that I'm a student from Singapore, which is a very small country that you might not have heard of. And I'm also a GSOC contributor for Open Library this year. So what is GSOC, or Google Summer of Code? So Google Summer of Code is actually an annual program where contributors are selected to collaborate with organizations to work on projects over the summer. So fortunately this year, I was selected as a contributor for Open Library, where I managed to work on so many interesting projects under the mentorship of my amazing mentor, Matt. So today I'll be just talking about one of my key contributions, which is supercharging subject pages. So one of the key points of the roadmap for Open Library this year is enriching the book discovery process for our readers. However, the subject pages in our Open Library this year currently doesn't really support that experience because it relies heavily on auto-generated information, and there isn't really an infrastructure to support the storing of extra information about subjects within the page itself. This makes it difficult for librarians to curate more verbose and personalized information about these subjects to store within the pages. Therefore, this compelled the creation of a new infrastructure called subject tags. So I built this new infrastructure using Infogami, which is a technology that Open Library relies on. And just for some context, there has not been a new Infogami type created since over a decade ago. So there isn't much documentation on how to do so. The whole process of creating this new subject tag infrastructure was quite arduous, but thankfully, with the support of Mac and other contributors at Open Library, I managed to find out how to do so. And now with subject tags, we can store more information about subjects within the pages itself, such as internalization data, the description about the subject, images pertaining to the subject, and many other more information that you would like to store within subject pages. So another thing that I managed to do during this project was to create this new tool, About Subject Tagger tool, which allows librarians to categorize books under subjects efficiently by doing it multiple books at a time, compared to previously where you have to do it manually one by one. So with these two new infrastructures, we now have subject pages that can be enriched with more personalized information by the librarians, and also more verbose information about the subjects itself. So as you can see in the image right now, within the Magic, this is not deployed live, but this is now possible within the subject page, where you can have a detailed description about the subject, and you can also have curated lists of books by the librarians to show within the subject page itself. However, whatever I've done with subject tag is just laying the groundwork for what is possible in the future. If you see in the image on the right, this is a design provided by the talented designer at Open Library, Roya, and we can all agree that it looks vastly different and so much more interesting to the readers compared to what we have right now. So previously, designs like this weren't possible in Open Library because there is no infrastructure to support it. However, now with subject tags, which is so flexible in the information that it can store and the functionality that it can provide, such designs are now possible within Open Library. So I'm so excited for what there is to come for subject pages within Open Library, and I'm so excited for the possibility of having Open Library's first super enriched subject page that we hope can be launched in the near future. So if you'd like to find out more information about this project, you can check out this blog that I wrote that details my GSOC process. And if you are interested in finding out how to create a new infogami type, I've written down documentation, a step-by-step tutorial within this link, which you can find out more about. If you'd like to contribute to this project of enriching subject pages, feel free to reach out to me or reach out to Meg, and I'll be more than happy to share more information about the project and how you can contribute to it. Just some final notes before I end my presentation. I would like to say that contributing at Open Library through the GSOC program has been such an amazing and fulfilling experience. And I'm so amazed by this wholesome community at Open Library, who has displayed so much enthusiasm for improving the experience of readers all over the world. And lastly, just a shout out to my mentor, Mac, who has been such a dedicated mentor throughout the entire program and has always made sure to close any learning gaps that I may have. This project would not have been possible without you, Mac, and I'm so thankful for that. With that, that is all I have for today, and I'll see you guys soon. Hi everyone, I hope we are having an amazing Halloween.
All right. Thank you so much to Jaden. Jaden really blew us away and did a phenomenal job the entire time he was with us. And if I can really quickly try a demo, I don't know if this is really gonna work, but just to give you an idea of how powerful this tool is, if I do a search for cooking, previously, if I wanted to curate a collection, I would have to click on a book and then, oh, 1 second. Sorry, we're on the testing server. It might have a few challenges. And then I would have to click on edit. Then I would have to go down to the subject.
Click on the work tab.
Then click on the work tab. And then go to
Subjects.
yeah, subject keyword. And then put in, let's say, like easy cooking. And I guess I'll hope that's right. And then, oh, there we go. Quick and easy cooking. And then I would click save. And imagine doing this for 10,000 books. Like, just imagine going through that whole process, searching for an individual title, clicking on the book, clicking on edit, clicking on work, going to the subject section, typing in your search, and then auto-completing it. And what we can do now is we can do a search for cooking. We can, and any librarian in the community who we give privileges to can do this collection management. We can click, maybe click, this one isn't relevant. click, click, and then we can tag works all at once and say easy cooking. And then with one click, it'll apply to all of these things. And then what we could do is then go to a subject page and say, we want to render a carousel for quick and easy cooking. And then all of the books that we just selected and tagged would show up in that carousel. So what we're hoping is that in the upcoming year, we will be able to supercharge not only the subject pages, but our librarians' abilities to curate and remove subjects and add subjects extremely easily. And the other reason why this is a really nice feature is because we can do something like do a search for Goosebumps that have really scary covers, and then click on a few of them and then add a content warning tag, so that as a librarian is noticing that there are covers that someone may want to have a content warning, they can do that work all from the same page without having to individually go to an edit page for a single item. So this is, I don't mind saying that this is a truly game-changing feature, not only to improve our subject pages and make it so that we can have multiple different showcases and carousels that are designed by humans as if they were in a bookstore and curating a beautiful tabletop, but it also just allows us to completely reimagine how collection management is done by the community on Open Library. So fantastic work to Jaden, and thank you also to Roya, who I can show a slide on really quickly. Roya is another one of our design fellows who has been not only helping us build out a design system so that we can standardize the experience across the website and achieve greater consistency, but also has been iterating on new designs for our subject page to help continue on the work that Jaden has done. So thank you, Roya, who is teaching a class right now in design and couldn't be here for this call. Drini, can I hand it over to you next?
Howdy, folks. Absolutely. Let me start sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Sure can.
What? There we go. Okay. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Drini. I'm one of the staff members who works on Open Library and the Internet Archive. I think I've been working here for about 3 or 4 years now. It's been quite a while. I've been here since before Mech grew his peacock feathers, so it's been quite a journey. Super happy to present to talk a little bit about the stuff that I've been working on. So this year, one of the things I work on in Open Library is I tend to dabble in the dark arts of search engines. So I work on Open Library's Solar instance. And some of the stuff that happened this year was last year, we had our edition-aware search in beta. This year, that's been fully deployed and it's the default search experience across the site. What that means is that now you can do, it allows certain searches which you couldn't do before. So for example, you can search for fantasy books in German that are available to read, and you'll get the correct books. And previously that search was just not possible on Open Library. And so I'll be like half doing some demos here. So let's pull up the results. So boom, and now the books show up correctly in German with their German titles. For those searches, you can find things like Project Gutenberg books. If you search by publisher, it'll display the exact edition that matches that publisher, for example. And if tu voudrais lire Sherlock Holmes, if you're a French user and you search for Sherlock Holmes, it'll surface the edition that is in French, so that you'll see hopefully what you expect in that situation. Something new that's happened this year is we now have the ability to sort and use ratings and reading log in our search, reading log counts in our search results. So for example, if you're interested in the top rated sci-fi novels from the 80s, if that's your specific subgenre, let's pull that up. You can see that the top one is Watchmen, sure, and more than Terry Pratchett. And this uses a sort of a fancy average that takes advantage of some statistical theory, so that we avoid getting like a book that has a single 5-star rating at the very top, which is something you'll see in other services if you try to sort by rating, which is a nice use case. And then something that Mech alluded to earlier in the call is we can also use this to find high impact books we might want to consider adding to our collections. So this is the most wanted textbooks missing from the Internet Archive. Let's go here. So we're just searching literally for textbook and then textbooks that don't have an Internet Archive identifier. And then here are the books that match. And if I click through on one of these.
It's also incredible that the top 4 results are textbooks. I didn't search that query beforehand. That's.
Oh, I searched textbooks. Sorry.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
Sorry. That's less surprising, but still amazing.
Yeah, so this one, there are 156 people who want to read this textbook on quantum mechanics. Although the people who have read it don't seem to like it very much, but anyways. So we can use this, and all of these queries can be sliced and diced in whatever thing. So if we want to figure out books from a certain time range that we might want to add to our collection, or books in a certain genre or a certain slice, that's all possible. Another thing that's happened this year that was on the smaller side is search is now mostly diacritic insensitive anywhere. So if you're a non-English user and you're too lazy to type the umlauts in your language, it'll still find the right book when you're searching. I also work on some book reader things. So some of the things that happened this year for book reader was I did an overhaul of the text selection. So here you can see the before, and it's quite janky and it jumps around a lot as you're selecting. And then here's the after. So under the hood, it's basically reconstructing the page to try to make that text selection experience as smooth as possible. There's a table of contents side panel that's been brought back into the book reader, which we used to have many years ago, but we dropped and now we have again. Pinch zoom improvements, and upcoming for later in the year is hypothesis annotation support, which is something we've been in communication with the hypothesis folks for. Now I'm going to go into some experimental stuff that I've been working on. So this stuff is more workbenchy. The future is uncertain on some of these 3 projects, but so the first one I want to showcase is bulk search. This is one that we will be implementing either in the next few months or next year. So for an example use case, let's say you want to create a list of books that are entering the public domain in 2024. And you might go to a website like Wikipedia or somewhere where you have some sort of list of books. Book extractor or the bulk search. Here, you can use either regular expressions, which are a little finicky because they require things to be a specific order, or of course the new hotness. You can use AI to try to determine what the books are in the text. You hit extract books. Takes a second, there you go. So it detects what the titles and the authors are. Then we match those books and do searches on openlibrary for each of those sections to find the corresponding books. And you can see there are a number of duplicates, but for the most part, it's just the first book there that we care about. And then at the bottom here, we can click create list of first matches. And this brings us to our list maker page, which is also something that's new this year, which is this sort of mini URL API. And then from here, we can just create the list of public domain 2024 if we wanted to. I'm not going to. And click create new list. And that's the process. So that's something that if without that sort of automatic stitching would have taken quite a bit longer to do manually. You can also do this, for example, I probably won't go through the whole example, but for example, here's a series on Jalna with the Wikipedia page on it. You can select all of these books and you could do the same thing here. Just kick that off and then maybe check back on it. But you get the idea of what's going to happen. and some other things. Also, if you want to like copy and paste the books in the sources section of a Wikipedia article, and you want to get all those books on Open Library, same thing, you can just pop it in. Now, feel free to try this out. If you have access to the slides, the link is there. It's a little janky. You will have to enter in an Open AI API key, because that's what it's using under the hood. It's using GPT 3.5, for anyone who's curious. But that'll do that piece. Oops. Table of contents and Open Library search. So table of contents is a theme that's been happening a lot over the last little bit. One of the experimental places we're considering having Open Libraries search here is in one second. There we go. Is to show table of contents result directly in our search results. So currently, for example, if you're interested in the 3D modeling software Blender, but you're more specifically interested in UV unwrapping, you can know results because there's no book that has UV unwrapping in its title, although there are many books about Blender that mention UV unwrapping. And so we could go to full text search and go to UV unwrapping here. And we get results, but it's still much harder to find here. Now it's almost a surplus of results. And finding everything we need is a bit confusing of which books just mention it casually versus have something a bit more meaty about the subject. Well, in demo land, if I search for Blender UV unwrapping here, here it shows the books and it shows the chapters that match in the book. So here we see unwrapping, painting and shading, unwrapping and UVs in Blender. And we see a number of books that have that available. And then you can borrow the book and jump in and read the section that you're interested in. This is also potentially useful if you need to do something like Scandal in Bohemia, which is a story from Sherlock Holmes. Because if you search for that, we have Scandal in Bohemia as its own separate book, but in our normal search, the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes wouldn't show up as a result because it doesn't mention Scandal of Bohemia, Scandal in Bohemia anywhere. But here we have
just kind eye on time. We're at 9:55 now.
Perfect. I think this is the last one. And then if you click on Scandal in Bohemia there, it'll take you to the book at just the right page to see. And this one I won't be demoing, but so one of the other experiments we're working on is an Open Library Assistant to allow librarians to do sort of bulk automation tasks, like auto merging or finding out which works to merge. And then some other projects that have happened in the year that don't fit under those two banners. So the thing that makes a lot of the table of contents stuff possible is trying to extract more table of contents from books. So there's a table of contents extraction pipeline that's slowly growing called Talkie that uses AI to assist in the extraction process. Currently, I've manually, or with it, I've extracted 100 table of contents that have been saved back into Open Library, most of the ones we saw during this demo. Other things that have happened this year is lists and series are sort of work in progress, but some of the things that have made it out are those little maker URLs that I also demoed during this demo. And there's a tool for series extraction that uses existing metadata fields in Open Library to determine what the series are so that we can use that as we start to create series, but book series will be upcoming. And then one last one is we migrated another one of our production web nodes to be on fully modern OS and Docker based with Chris Klaus. And I think there are just 3 nodes left. So we're so close to knocking that fully off. That's it for myself. Have a happy Halloween, everyone. And I'll pass it back to you.
Trini, fantastic. I especially just absolutely loved the bulk search, taking a selection of text, finding the books, mapping them into Open Library, and going directly to a list. That was very inspiring. Okay. Next, we are going to hear from Jim.
Okay, thanks. So I'm Jim Champ. I'm a staff member at Open Library, and I'm going to talk quickly about some enhancements we made to the My Books Dropper this year. Next slide. So what is the My Books Dropper? This is also known as the Want to Read button, and it allows management of reading log, list, and last read dates for patrons. This was originally only available on books pages. Last year, we expanded this to our search results and reading log pages as a stripped down version that only had reading log management. So there was no list management and search results as of last year. Next slide. Part of the challenges for getting list management into the My Books Dropper is that we had a separate component that displayed what books were on a list and that allowed you to take a book off of a list. So previously you would have to click on the X in that little showcase below the already read button to remove that from a list. After these changes, list management can be done entirely from the dropper. A check mark will denote whenever a book is on a list. Let's see, next slide. So now our list management can be done from our search pages. Let's see. Whenever a list page or whenever a search page loads, a single client-side fetch is made to populate all the droppers with the list membership, which is great. And let's see what else. We can now add these new droppers to any other page that uses our search results. Like a patron's list page would be a perfect place for this, and maybe one of the next places we put this. Next slide. Speaking of that, we could use some help. So if you'd like to help out improving this, you can reach out to me on Slack. I'm Jim Champ. As stated, we could use some help adding the dropper to patron list pages. We could use maybe a design for a list preview on these search results pages, and maybe adding some search to the dropper for folks that have a lot of lists. I think that's it for me. Thanks.
Amazing job, Jim. This was actually a very hard technical challenge. The reason why it was so hard to take this My Books dropper and add it the way that we wanted to all of the books in the search results is that the behavior of the different buttons would collide with each other. And so we had to find a way to basically isolate and contain the behavior of every dropper so that they both load quickly, because fetching all of your lists can be quite expensive. And so now the way that it works is we load all of the data that we need once, and then we're able to render these compartmentalized buttons that allow you to both manage your reading log and then also your lists. Really just a fantastic job. This was a hard challenge. And thank you to Debbie, one of our volunteers, who not only is going to be one of our next speakers, but in addition to the work she and Jay are going to present, she also put a lot of time and energy into creating the designs and the inspiration for the improvements that we've been rolling out for our My Books dropper. So thank you, Debbie. And I would also love to introduce both Debbie and Jay, who will be our next speakers.
Hi, should I go first? I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, right. Trying to turn my camera on. There you go. Hi everyone. I'm Debbie. I was a patron here for a while of Internet Archive and Open Library, and also a computer science student and a physical education instructor. So I have been volunteering since January, and my intention in volunteering, a combination of being frustrated with the list. So that slide that you saw was a bunch of collection of my list research and the things that I have so far being able to contribute with lists. because I find them super important. I love organizing. And also, I know how privileged I am as a student to have access to books and articles and research materials, but I feel that not everyone has the same ability, and Open Library gives us access to knowledge and to information that we need in this world. So if I can play a role in changing this accessibility reality in the world, then I'll be really happy, and that's why I'm here. And I have contributed in different areas from code to translation. I wrote it down because I forgot. I was looking back into everything that I have contributed so far. So code, PRs, translation, design, personal research, and communications, and the team's page, which I'm very happy to have worked with Jay and also Scott in this. And the team page started as with the idea of just making a page more eye-catching and inviting, as well as having a space to showcase the talent behind the Open Library, from staff to fellows to volunteers. So after researching, I love research, as you see, I guess. After researching many staff pages, I came up with a few mock-ups, and which would be on the next slide over. So there's I know it was really difficult to put on this slide, but it's just a little bit of the progress. So the first slide is how we used to look. And then we came up with many different mock-ups. So we started with nothing, some cats. I couldn't put the cats on this, but we had some cats, and then Frodo made an appearance. And then we had, you know, a few different variations, and after many iterations, the final design was born, and that's when Jay came into the rescue to transform this design into a published reality. If you'd like to be featured on this page, I put the link on the slide to the right. So the left is the link to the page, and to the right, you can click and see the information form where you can put your information in there if you volunteer with us. And that's it. Thank you.
So I'm going to go back one slide so we can also introduce Jay. And something else that I feel strongly about doing is I want to call out the work that both Debbie and Jay have done throughout this year. I think they started off just being happy to volunteer, and then put so much of their time and energy and passion into not only this project, but several others. And so I feel very strongly about recognizing them as honorary fellows for this year, and hope to see their names this week added to our fellows section for the team page. You both have just done remarkable work, and are on all of our calls and bring such positive spirit. And I'm so proud to have you in the community. And with that, I will hand over to Jay to talk about the implementation side of the team page, and also to introduce yourself.
Awesome. Thanks, Mick. So my name is Jay. As it says on the slide, I found Open Library while searching for a book API to use in a coding project. I ended up not actually using the API and pivoting my project instead. But once I graduated, I was looking for open source projects to contribute to, and I refound Open Library, joined a Slack call, and here I am. Been volunteering with Open Library since March of this year, and I can't wait to keep on working on new projects. But yeah, so to go back to the team page itself, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, this is the initial code that I made, what the team page looks like, the first iteration. So there was like biographies, and everybody is like in one section. All the staff is mixed together with all the volunteers and all of the fellows. So what we ended up doing is we created a JSON style document to house everybody's information. And then the last iteration, we ended up adding filtering in with DOM manipulation in JavaScript. So this is completely filterable. Users can go to this and actually filter by role and department. And you can see it right there. So if we hit design, it will separate out everybody, current and past, volunteers, staff, and fellows that have worked in that. And it works beautifully. I'm very proud. But that's pretty much it. Huge shout out to everybody that helped work on this. Debbie, Scott, Ed helped with the JSON. And as Debbie said, this is nowhere near complete. So if you want to be a part of this page and have your information shown, please, please, please fill out that form or contact one of us on Slack and we will get your information on the page. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mick.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jay and Debbie, both of you. And up next is going to be Virginia.
Hi guys, my name is Virginia and I'm now a grad student studying design. So I joined the design team earlier this year, but I was gone for the summer because I was home and traveling and stuff. And I recently came back to the US from home in China for my grad school program. So I'm glad to be back and seeing all the like awesome work that everybody has done. So earlier this year, while I was here, I started out working on some like sign-up flow optimization. So essentially the current sign-up flow is a bit confusing. How it goes is like you hit the sign up button on the page, on the Open Library page, and then you and then you see this left screen first. And then, so if you hit sign in with Google, which is already a little bit confusing because it's like sign in instead of sign up, although the page is about signing up, you get taken to the middle page where you see the Internet Archive page. So for someone who's supposedly on the Open Library page for the first time and signing up, they might be confused as in like, oh, why am I now on the Internet Archive page? Like, did I do something wrong? But then essentially you hit continue from there, and then you sign up. That's like the Google sign up flow. So yeah, so this is something that's a little bit confusing since people get like taken off from the Open Library page to the Internet Archive page. So would you mind going to the next slide? Thank you. And then, yeah, and then some other things that are confusing for people, like I said, again, the Google sign in button and the email sign up flow are both listed as sort of equals because they're separated by or on the sign up screen. And then also there for a password, as someone types the password, there's no real-time feedback for them as in like, have they met all the requirements, or are they missing some? So essentially what they have to do is like type the whole password that they created for themselves and try to hit sign up, and then realize that, oh, like I haven't met all the password requirements. And then also on the right side, you can see there's a lot of empty white space. So, nothing's too inherently wrong with that, but like we're just thinking maybe we could reorganize the page and use that space more effectively. And then last but not least, there's also no like onboarding after sign up is complete. Yeah. And then, so I did an initial redesign of the sign up page. So as you can see on the right, there's a supposedly better, a more effective use of the empty space that was originally on the right, and now it's taken to the left kind of, and like has this little text that explains to people what Open Library is, and yeah, and like essentially the 1, 2, 3 bullet points are supposed to be like sort of yeah, I think it's supposed to be more also like just explaining the like the key values of signing up for the Open Library. So I think these are like not the real bullet points up there. And then on the right, and you could see so it still has that Google API, Google sign in API button on top. However, it is a true like sign up button. And then underneath that, you have the email sign up, and also for the password, the instruction is more clear, and then you have this like little check mark oh, sorry, I'm not sure why. Yeah, you have this like check mark on the right that tells you whether you fulfilled the requirement or not. And then also at the very bottom, there's an option to log in if you're already a member, which I think sometimes is what the Google button was trying to do in the old design, but that was not like extremely clear. Yeah, and yeah, I want to thank everybody like on the team for like offering me feedback during earlier critiques, and I definitely am excited to be back, and I do want to iterate on this more because we haven't tested it with any users yet, and I think that would be very valuable to do as a next step.
Virginia, thank you so much. It's great to have you back. It's been wonderful to work with you. And also something else that Virginia put time and energy into was the initial survey for our design research, which was led by Abby, who I will introduce next. So go ahead, Abby.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy to be part of this team. I'm a human-centered design researcher, and I have been working with this team since around the fall of 2019 when I first met Mac. I've come and gone, but lately I've been around for a while doing this design research. So I love the team because of the people on it and the work we do together and the work that we're getting done. You can see all the good work we're getting done. And after every meeting, I feel energized and inspired. Right now, I'm working with the team to do generative design research about educators and learners, and to learn about their experiences, their needs, their goals, and their challenges when they're using the open library, what they need and how we can better support them. So these are some of the things that we've done. And I also just love being in the meetings on Tuesdays and Fridays. It's a great time to spend with the team and work on what we're doing. You can go to the next slide, Mac.
I want to jump in just because I don't know if otherwise people will understand just how much you have contributed, how much time and energy and work and what this looks like under the hood. And I think you'll likely explain it. But in addition to being on pretty much every Friday design call and offering critique to all of us and sharing her expertise, and in addition to being on most of our Tuesday calls, Abby has been instrumental in creating the screening survey where we found participants, developing our consent forms, creating an interview discussion guide so we knew exactly what questions to ask and how to ask them and what to avoid, selecting the actual participants and working with us to make sure that we had good representation of those we're speaking with, developing an application and logistics tracker so that we could see who had done what and where we are in the process, creating a design mural that documented the entire process that we should follow, having a section for debriefs, which is where at the end of the meeting you can put all of your learnings, leading the synthesis process of taking all of these different interviews and gleaning insights, and then actually being on the ground and participating in interviews, debriefs, and synthesis. And as someone who can follow instructions, usually that me, I've been happy to participate in the design research, but I want to make it clear that I've learned so much and I'm so grateful to Abby, who has really brought in so much expertise and leadership to this project. So I'll go to the next slide now.
Mac, boy, thank you.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Yeah. So I led the team. We all participated in this training that I led to get us all aligned around the project goals, the purpose of the research, and what is design research. It's about how to do interviewing and note taking, and how to do qualitative analysis. So you could go to the next slide. And this slide is talking about where we are. You can see the grayed out boxes are all the things that we've done. And then you can see right where we are. We're still conducting some interviews, and we're just starting to analyze the data, what we're learning from our participants and from the people who responded to the survey. And then we're going to design a follow-up survey so that we can ask some more questions and get a little deeper into the answers. Then we'll synthesize the data, meaning we'll learn what have we learned and how can that inform how we can improve the open library for learners and editors. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so we've heard from over 450 people so far in the initial survey and interviewed 7 people. And here are a few hints about some of the stuff we're learning. We're still in the middle of analysis, so I don't want to make any solid findings, but some things that we are learning is that we can speed up the open library's performance, for example. And we're hearing from patrons who would benefit from the open library better serving a multilingual international audience who don't all read English. And this one quote really touched me. I've seen a lot of people asking, saying things at the end of the survey, you know, is there anything else you'd like us to know, the design team? And there's a lot of people saying it's an invaluable resource. This person was describing the open library as the place that her and her child can get books that they only could dream about because they don't have access to libraries. That's so meaningful to all of us, I know, that the open library is a valuable source for folks who don't have access to other libraries. So this is just a few things that we are learning, and stay tuned because we're about to share a lot more learnings from hearing from the learners and educators we've been interviewing. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby. And next to talk about one of the ways that we're able to showcase all of the great work done by the community, not just on this call, is through our communications department. And I would love to hand over to Nick and then Liz to tell us more.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. Thank you, Mick. I joined Open Library back in 2020, just looking for books to read, and I found my way to a hackathon at Open Library, and that experience sort of just inspired me to get connected on a volunteer basis, which my role has evolved to a fellow here in the communications program. So I'd like to first draw your attention to the team that you see. The faces on the screen are just a hugely important part of some of the success that we've had here in communications, which I'm very excited to talk about. So I think to start, I'd like to maybe just kind of preface this by just sharing how we got here. And growth is really what led us here. We were challenged. Growth is great. However, growth introduced us to a new challenge of asking the question, how do we coordinate and effectively produce content to inform patrons about our products, our library services, and new features, and how do we do that in a way that is really just efficient? And so that led us to where we are now in this journey to create and build a communications program. And we've done it and we've been on this journey in 3 stages, which is strategize, and I'll talk more a little bit about that communications playbook that we in the next stage has been the coordination aspect of it, which has been the central focus, was to build a space where our team could begin to organize and bring all of this to life. And a key piece of that is our Slack communications program, which I'll mention here in a second. And then, of course, to execute it, one of the first stages of execution for us has been in our blog program, developing and producing blog content and exploring how to do that effectively. And so one of the themes for us has been, or models, has been laying one pipe at a time. And that means for us, step by step, methodically understanding how to lay and move forward in this whole process in a way that we don't have to come back years from now or months from now to rip up the plumbing and rip up the floor to sort of do everything over again. And so that has been very important for us. And so for us, I think as a group, I'd like to just speak to some of the things that we've done as far as communications. And one of the things I'll talk about really quickly is establishing a Slack program. We've got 24 members that have been contributing to that program, to our Slack community, where we collaborate, bring projects to life, and back in January, Mec asked us, he said, how will we know that we've been successful in communications? And one of the ways that we are now able to say we've been successful is because we have a dedicated team, and it's balanced right down the middle. Half of our team is daily active contributors, and then the other half is short-term contributors. And when you put that together, that's a healthy community dynamic in any open source project. And we've also used some of our communications community calls, which we have those each month that we started as well, to be able to strategize and understand how we're going to write and streamline and bring on onboarding, develop onboarding processes for volunteers to contribute more effectively to projects. Out of that has come the development of what we call our communications playbook, which that has been our anchor. It's sort of been a go-to where we look at and say, okay, this is our North Star. This is where we are to be. This is what it looks like. We do have plans to sort of evolve this and sort of surface this a bit more, but it's been our anchor of understanding, if you are a new contributor, you can go here, look at what projects we're working on. More importantly, you can sort of see how things move from a volunteer capacity from an internal perspective. And so here are a list of some of the onboarding processes that we have. Some of the blog posts that we have written. You're more than welcome to visit our blog, or they'll be here in the slide as well. And I want, Liz is coming up next. She's going to be talking about a very key and crucial onboarding process that we've been developing or just developed at Communications, and she has led that project, and that has been a big part in helping us begin to now identify people who are specifically skilled and how they might align with projects we're working on today and tomorrow. And so there's so much more to share, but I will say you can get connected with Communications by going to openlibrary.org to visit the volunteer page. And I do want to say thank you to Liz Mays. I want to give a shout out to Ray, who also contributed to a community call page for Open Library, which is in our GitHub as well. But more than anything, I think it's important just to say that we have contributions from members across different departments at Open Library, actively contributing to our communications efforts. And that makes it easier for us to sort of get, collaboration across departments for projects, and we don't have to sort of explain everything all over again. So that saves us a lot of time as we sort of leverage the momentum that we have now. And I want to say thank you to
I'm going to save the thanks for me just because we're very close to our 90 minutes, and we have a lot of people to get through. So I'm gonna hand over to Liz to teach us about the new onboarding flow. And I will ask, I know tons of people still have things that they want to include. I don't want anyone to rush, but let's see if we can fit everyone in the last 10 or so minutes that we have. Liz, over to you.
Okay, so I got involved because it seemed like a very constructive way to make the world a better place and sort of also use some of my passions. I really like making videos, and I wasn't totally sure how I might contribute when I first filled out the form. In fact, you had to choose between librarian and communicator at the time, so I think I chose librarian. And as part of that, I made some videos, and I really enjoyed being part of the volunteer group here. I appreciate how much our contributions are appreciated, and I really love the way that collaboration is essentially come to from a very egalitarian and kind of grassroots standpoint. If you want to flip to the next slide. I started by making some videos, and they're really to simplify common things that patrons were trying to do on Open Library, make them as easy to understand as possible while putting an engaging bumper on the front and back with those. And one way you can help on this, if you have an idea for a video or something you think is not very self-explanatory, send that my way or put it in the comms channel. And if you want to flip to the next slide. The next thing I got involved in was very organic. There was a conversation around that aspect of volunteering for comms, and we realized that there may be a need to peel off the comms volunteering interest indicator form from sort of being grouped with all these other forms. We also realized that we were looking for very specific skills and interests in the very near term in terms of blog post production being a priority. And so this form was focused around essentially helping us find contributors with the skill set that is needed right now, but then also helping them get looped into the process as quickly as possible, understand what the process would be after filling out the form, help them get onboarded, and then connect them with opportunities as quickly as possible. And then in the future, as more opportunities become available that might meet the skill set of others who've expressed long-term interest, we also wanted to identify how much bandwidth someone might have as they are seeking to contribute. Not everyone wants to contribute, like 5 hours a week. Some people might want to contribute, a few hours on, once every few months or something like that, and just kind of figuring all that out and surfacing that information so that, again, that infrastructure for open source communications can be put in place. It's very fascinating to me to see an open source collaborative model be used for comms where that is very rarely the case. So it's fascinating to watch Nick lead those efforts. And in terms of credit, definitely want to credit Nick and Debbie and Mech and all of those in the comms channel who contributed to the forum, as well as those on the design call who provided suggestions. So with that, I will pass to the next person.
Thank you so much, Liz. And next, we're going to enter the librarian section of our talk. And I'll hand it over to Lisa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Mac. So I'm going to try to be quick. Go to the next slide. So I'm Internet Archive staff and lead community librarian for Open Library. I initially got involved as a volunteer back in late 2018 and joined the staff of Internet Archive in 2020. I facilitate the volunteer librarians by providing admin support, responding to questions, providing guidance to resources, and also giving them space to, choose their own work, their own projects. I'm not giving assignments to people unless they ask me to, and then I try to. So the librarian channel started in Slack in 2020, April 2020, and now we're up to 835 members or volunteers in that channel. Can move on. So what do librarians do? So one of the biggest things is adding book metadata. So there was some discussion earlier about the tagging, and tagging is really the core of helping people find what they want. If they don't have an exact title, they just kind of have an idea of what they're interested in. The tags are really what drives that and helps with discoverability. So it's important that we have relevant tags, good tags, and very specific tags to items so people can find them. Instead of just fiction, like what kind of fiction, more specifically, fantasy fiction, high fantasy, et cetera, et cetera. You can be very specific and try to get some long tail tagging in there to help people find what they want. And we need people to do that. We do import some of that metadata, but it typically is quite broad and generic. And it's the humans, the librarian contributors who are getting the specific information in there. Also, librarians help with adding author information. So a lot of authors have the same name, so disambiguation is important. So it really helps if we have external identifiers, bios, birth dates, etc., to help keep, this Stephen King from being mixed up with this Stephen King. Librarians help identify duplicate records and conflated records. So either merge the duplicates or try to split up books that shouldn't be together. And this happens a lot with series, or books with similar names. They also help identify non-book records. So if you see something in there like a pen or a notebook, we don't want those because that just kind of causes clutter and doesn't really help anyone find what they want. librarians help others in the volunteer community learn and understand the best practices for cataloging and tagging and using the editor, which isn't always super intuitive. So it's always good to have helpers around. Librarians also add images, book cover images, author photos, and they help curate collections. Next slide. So I'm not going to read all this text. This is just one of the featured projects. And if you're interested, I invite you to come back and read the details. But we have a volunteer who's actually volunteering on behalf of a group of people, Tab Group, and they're trying to engage global information architecture from a critical political perspective. So these three Black TMA authors, banned in Texas prisons, and Black liberationist political prisoners and prisoners of war have been kind of the focus recently. And I invite you to take a look at those. The links will actually link to the various lists that they have put together. And they've been working on this for the better part of this year, I think. So that's been great.
Beautiful. I want to thank you for sharing, because I actually didn't even know that this was a project we were moving forward. So I'm learning too. I'm very grateful.
And then I want to just mention some of our librarians and kind of the projects they work on. So this is not by any means a full list. We have so many more contributors than I can fit on this list. So if you're not mentioned, it's not because I don't appreciate you. I just have so much space. So Marla has been working on general metadata and author disambiguation. Jordan has been working on general metadata, and I think maybe some series and sci-fi. Sybil working on romance novels and series. Brenna has been working on author collections and series. Nazar has been working on Ukrainian language materials. Popcar is specializing in comics and graphic novels. Janae specializes in juvenile literature and whimsy and romance novels. And GLBW is a librarian, actually runs a library in Germany, and is probably our longest, or one of our longest term librarians. Predates me, so I'm not even really sure. So go on. And then we have our super librarians, and I'm especially grateful to you all because you're doing the extra stuff, the harder stuff, and helping the other librarians in training understand what to do and responding to their questions, greeting them when I can't always do it. Ono is really leading and kind of my right hand person, helping with documentation, helping greeting when new people join the group, helping respond to questions, and I am like eternally grateful because it really helps me out a lot. So thank you. And you'll be hearing from Ono, so I will let him talk more about what he does. But then Bitnapper, Mark Hyman, Daniel Capella, T. Manaro, GLBW, Ray BB, Nazar, TF Morris, Biccolino, Salar, and Holdy. These are my super librarians who are responding to the merge requests and questions that other librarians have that I can't answer everything myself, and so I'm really appreciative for all of the help. Next slide.
All right. So this seems like a great opportunity to introduce Ono, but first, if it's all right, I just want to give people first of all, a round of applause for our librarians, because there are so many people who there's just too many for us to all be able to present. I want to just show the magnitude of what librarians have been doing. This is an interface that we call the librarian merge queue. I think we're going to hear a little bit more about this in a bit. This is the number of times that a submission has been made saying that there might be an author or a work that can be merged together. We've only had this interface for about 2 years. This reads 92,000 merges. This is hundreds of pages of people clicking through and saying these books need to be merged. Just absolutely mind-blowing. And if we do, for instance, let's look at the things where the reviewer is, give me a moment. Which one do I want? Anfrada. Oh, that's not the exact one that I want. I want closed. There's 0 open. That makes sense. So Ono has helped the community merge 15,000 requests. Just absolutely mind-blowing. And without further ado, congratulations to all of our super librarians who have worked so hard. And here's to over to you, Ono. If you're with us and able to present. Otherwise, I can also get it started and try to do the best I can to present on your behalf.
I see Ono is here, but maybe having trouble with audio.
Well, let's see if Ono can get audio working. But meanwhile, I will try to do my best to represent this slide, if that's okay. So part of what we just saw is the librarian merge queue, which is the interface where both individuals can submit requests for entries to be merged, or also a special feature or a special responsibility that super librarians have, are fielding submissions by the community. The community in general doesn't have the ability to merge in these different records. They have to submit what we're calling a merge request or a pull request, and then super librarians will evaluate. And so not only has Ono processed 3,500 merge requests himself, but he's also evaluated or reviewed 15,000 plus from the community. And Ono has also worked on some incredible documentation online where librarians in training can better understand the processes for contributing. And in addition to this onboarding process, I wanted to give a thank you to Marla as well, who has been really instrumental in proofreading and helping true up our documentation. And Lisa, do you know much about this collection? I feel like I can't speak to it very intelligently.
I believe that's a German science fiction literary prize that, and so he worked on building this collection.
Awesome.
That is absolutely correct.
Over to you, Ono. Yay.
Yes, I got my microphone working. So the Fantastic Prize Wetzlar is indeed a German fantasy award, and I think it's the oldest German fantasy award. That's something I started with. It was one of the reasons why I joined Open Library, and it has become a bit sidelined, but I'm still working on it. So you can already find all the books that have won the award, but I have not yet finished all the authors with all their books who won the award, because some were writing quite a lot of novels. Okay, we can go to the next page. Well, how can you help me and the other super librarians? If you read a book and you enter it on your reading profile on Open Library, and you see that the language section is empty, so it doesn't say this book is in English or French or Tagalog or whatever you are reading in, take the time to enter the language. If a book has a language entry, it makes merging so much easier, because I just can look, okay, this is book whatever, and then I see, okay, the original book is this, easy to merge. That's so very helpful, and it makes it also much easier to find the book. Drini showed us some search magic where you can find books written in French or Italian, and that only works if the language is entered. So if you have the 2 minutes to add that, great help. If you have a merge request, please comment it. you have probably put a lot of research into the merge request, and you should show me what kind of research you did, because that is what I review. I don't review that the books belongs together. I can't do that. It's too many requests. I review your reasoning. So please write your results, comment your merge requests, and of course ask questions on Slack. As Lisa said, I try to build to write a documentation, and I can only write a good documentation if I know which things you find difficult. I know what I find difficult. I can describe that, and Lisa told me explains me what how it is done, but I can't do that for you. So ask your questions. It helps me and it helps you as well.
All right. Oh no, thank you so much, Lisa and the rest of the librarians. Strong +1, please leave a comment on your merge requests. I don't think we want to make the comments mandatory because there are a lot of records that maybe are straightforward enough. But I do ask as a courtesy if you are submitting merge requests and it would benefit from a comment, put in that extra time, because Ono and Ray and Lisa and Travis and so many exactly are putting in their time to help. Okay. I also wanted to give a shout out to both Ariel and Sam, who have been doing amazing work in supporting the efforts of librarians. Everything from ID validation and deduplication of ISBNs and LCCNs, adding validation so that people don't put in incorrect metadata into the system. And Ariel was able to unblock a really important feature, which is allowing librarians to delete works that have more than 1,000 editions in them, because previously it would fail and then someone would have to go block by block and disassociate editions, and it was really a pain and it made it almost unfeasible. So a small effort done really well can go a long way, and I wanted to thank both Ariel and Samuel for their great impact toward our librarian operations. And next, I think maybe we have 2 more. We have or 3 more, Ed, and then Ray, and then Scott to take us home. I know everyone has been so flexible with their time. We're hoping for 90 minutes. If you do have to go, I completely understand. But to me, it's extremely important that I want to stick around and make sure that all of the contributors in our community have had a chance to have their story be heard, because they've really accomplished some fantastic things. And to hear about our next one, Ed.
Thank you, Beck. Let me just turn on all the stuff. Ooh, screen share. Yeah. Yeah, can everyone see my screen, or?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, let me just get in the slideshow real quick because we are low on time. So hello, my name is Edgar Lim. I'm based here in Toronto, Ontario, and I joined the Open Library somewhere around 2022, I believe in November. I stumbled upon it after graduating a web development boot camp at Lighthouse Labs, and I've always wanted to volunteer for a museum, and you know what, this kind of fit the bill. An open source library, pretty close. So far, my experience here at the Open Library has been pretty positive. I got to work with all the developers, got to explore all the new code bases, use things that I've never used before, like Figma and Python and other Python frameworks, and just get some real life experience overall. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Robert Wu, who worked with me with the librarian merge queue that was just before mentioned by Ono and Mech, and also Jim, who mentored me through the project, and of course Ono, which I did not know was using it so much. So you made my project actually worthwhile because there's someone actually using it. And of course Mech and everyone else that helped me throughout the whole process. So I don't think I really have to explain too much about the merge queue because it was kind of already explained before, but it is this. But essentially, my biggest contribution thus far to the Open Library was creating the new UI for the merge queue. So up here we see the old design, and my contribution was the new design. And you can see right here, I wrote Robert's filters. Robert did the filters for the merge queue. So if I just go back, I do have it open right here. So Robert's contributions are the filters right here. I did pretty much the entire new UI. So that includes the new chat box that you can always put messages in, whatever you feel like. You know, can always go to the open merge request and the closed merge request. I have, if you're logged in as a super librarian or someone with authority, you can always review the merge requests. And yeah, you can always say, yeah, yes, yeah, I like this. You can always do a merge, always go back, and you can see in real time it'll update, and you can always add a comment. So yeah, that's pretty much it for show and tell. Because we are running a little bit low on time, and quite frankly, I don't know what else to really talk about. So onto the final page, final slide. Last thing I do want to say is, if you want to contribute and support our work or my work, really, there's always issues. There's a link right here. There's still 5 bugs happening with the merge queue, even though I put a lot of effort into it. There's always, or we all put a lot of effort into this stuff, but there's always a bug or two that always gets through the cracks. And you can always find these on GitHub. There's five of them right here if you're interested. Besides that, you can always spread the word of Open Library, donate to the Open Library, or even follow my GitHub for Open Library stuff, so you can check out what's going on and maybe contribute that way. So with that all said, I wish everyone a happy Halloween, and I'll give it over to whoever's next.
All right. Thank you so much, Ed. You did a fantastic job. And I also want to call out the really above and beyond efforts of Jim Champ, who I know put a lot of time and energy into mentorship. One thing that I love most about working with the staff at the Open Library is just how much folks are willing to invest their time to support the community, whether it's Lisa or Scott or Drini or Jim. There are just so many people who are generous with their time. And we've gotten to a point where even members of the community are following that leadership, and as volunteers are like, oh no, dedicating their time to support the broader community, like Nick, like Liz. So I'm incredibly grateful to you all. All right, so let me go to our next presentation, which is going to be Ray, and then I think Scott will bring us home.
Hi, my name is Ray Berger. I'm going to be sharing about the Wikidata project that I've been working on. Wikidata is a project by Wikimedia Foundation that creates a nice and easy accessible way to have information about all kinds of things in a structured way. And we want to use the data from there and start incorporating it into the Open Library system. And specifically, I've been working on starting to get some information about authors in the system. This can lead to improvements with the author pages, such as internationalization, having names in different languages, which also helps with imports, and also having short descriptions that come from different languages. We can start loading in photos automatically and add biographical information, such as birth, death, time and place, and various other things. On the right is a quick preview of what this might look like one day, very early rough draft. This also leads to us contributing data upstream, encouraging people to contribute upstream to Wikidata, which is used in projects all around the web. So making data more accessible for everyone, and has lots of opportunities for improving our search as well. So I've been leading this project, and Drini has been really the number one person going through the code and working with me on what we want to do to approach this. And I'll also give a shout out to David Scottson, who has given a lot of encouragement. We've chatted a lot about how we might incorporate this. If you want to help out, feel free to reach me on the Open Library Slack or Twitter or Mastodon. If you search for my name, I think it should come up. Anyway, thanks so much. Happy to be part of the community. Have a good one.
Thank you, Ray. And I want to really strongly +1 David Scottson's work. They've been pretty instrumental within the community the past few months in contributing things similar to Sam and Ray and Drini that improve the editing experience and being able to pull in data. So one demo I saw from David Scottson that I really liked was the ability to put in like a Wikidata ID, pull in some data that can then be added directly to our records. And then finally, Scott, staff at Open Library and the Internet Archive.
All right, let's go. Let's see if we can do this quickly. Hi, I'm Scott. I work at the Internet Archive on the Open Library project. Next slide, please. One of the things we've been focusing on this year is improving our import system. Many imports have high quality mark metadata available, but too often we weren't using it. So now we use more of it, including overwriting revision 1 promise items, which often have low quality metadata. You can see an example of that to the right with the green where that shows added data. We also stopped imports of records with future publication dates and dates that are all question marks. Additionally, we've made the batch importer so that it doesn't miss as many Internet Archive records. To make it easier for people to work with this part of the code, we've also been refactoring the import functions to be more modular. Something that takes advantage of this increased import quality is the continued link up of books scanned and available on Internet Archive, which themselves do not point to an Open Library edition, but which do point to an Open Library edition, but which Open Library does not list as being available for borrow. Last year, we added around 95,000 of these links, and this year we've added another 144,000, meaning we've been able to link up nearly 240,000 books to make them available for loan through Open Library. I've also had the privilege to work with many volunteers, including, to name a few, Debbie and Jay on the team page and Anuja on the loan history page. Additionally, I've answered and helped various contributors with Docker, at least I've tried. Next slide, please. If you'd like to contribute, there's a lot of room for imports, a lot of room for improvements on the imports. We have an Epic on GitHub, so you can see that specific issue. And if you're interested in the tools I use to do the link up, there's some Python scripts. When I mentioned the books, the links between Open Library and Internet Archive, you can see my GitHub page and reconcile them the backlink bot. That's it for me. Back to you, Mac.
Scott, it's been an absolute privilege getting to work with you this year. We're so lucky to have you. And thank you for not only all of your hard work, but all of the energy that you've invested back into the community. We're all grateful for you. All right, wrapping up 2023. I'll follow suit and be as quick as I can be. What's next? Well, Open Library's theme for 2023 was really understanding our patrons so that we can provide the best service. And in 2024, one thing that I would love to see is for us to strategically align Open Library with the broader image of the Internet Archive and see if we can focus our services to deliver on the promise of research collections and the unique items and experiences that our patrons are looking for. And so in the upcoming months, we'll be doing our 2024 roadmap planning, which will be a process that involves all of you. So do keep a lookout in the Open Library G Slack channel or the Open Librarians G Slack channel. Those would be the two primary ones. And we'll have an upcoming session. I think this is a good one for us to schedule during a time when the maximum number of people are going to be available. It may not be on our normal time slot, just so that everyone can be included across difficult time zones. Of course, has already been said by a lot of different projects. Just in case you missed it, there are 4 great ways to get involved. The first is to independently look on GitHub for good first issues. This link will take you directly there. The second option is to use our volunteer page. That's openlibrary.org/volunteer. And this link will let you choose your own adventure as a communications member, a librarian, an engineer, or a designer. all of those are different paths that you can use to get your foot in the door. And then we have several different calls. We have a community call for everyone on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. The same time as today. We also have our design call at Friday at 9 a.m. And then once a month, we have our communications call, which I don't have on here, but in the Open Library Communications G channel, Nick offers updates as to when the next event will be. And then I don't know if we'll do this just because I think we're at time, but typically we have a virtual open library where everyone can just mingle. So I figure, why don't we just have a really laid back next Tuesday community call where we can chat and
say anything, or
what's that? Oh, I think otherwise, that is a wrap. Thank you, Open Library contributors and patrons, for a wonderful year. And I'll let all of you go because Lisa, especially, I know in Amsterdam is an hour late for dinner. Let me just say one. Yeah.
He's in my time zone.
Yes. Let me just say one more time, I appreciate you all very much. Thank you so much for collaborating together and for your trust in what we're doing and for your passion in making our library a better place for our patrons.
Would you post the slides on Slack?
I certainly will. And in fact, if anyone does want to get to the slides, you can go to openlibrary.org/OLCC2023. Open Library Community Celebration 2023 will go directly to the slides. And with that, I'll stop our recording, and I hope you all have a great day.